The muscle-up is one of the most iconic and recognizable calisthenics skills of all time. While there are many harder calisthenics skills that exist, such as the planche and front lever, very few have the universal prestige that the muscle-up does. It's revered by calisthenics athletes, regular gym goers, and even people who don't work out, because it strikes the perfect balance between being spectacular and relatable. Allow me to explain. At some point in their lives, most people have tried to lift themselves up using the strength of their arms. Even if they've never done a pull-up, they might have tried to climb a tree or even jump a fence. If you yourself have ever attempted any of these things, you would have quickly realized that pulling your body weight upwards against the force of gravity is no easy feat. Thus, the reason why the muscle-up is so impressive to most people is because they understand just how hard it is for a person to pull their body weight up vertically. When they see someone doing it easily and for multiple reps, they're blown away by the person's strength because they can easily relate it to their own. If the person watching is not very strong or finds it difficult to pull their own body weight, they're likely to be amazed by someone who can do it with minimal effort. This feeling of amazement is often so strong that the muscle-up becomes ingrained in people's minds as an unforgettable feat of human strength. As a result, it tends to receive much more adulation than other calisthenic skills that are objectively harder, such as the dragon press and Victorian, because most people have never attempted to put themselves in these positions, and therefore don't have a frame of reference from which to compare their strength. In other words, skills like the dragon press and Victorian are so niche and difficult that many people simply don't understand how difficult they are, and will only truly begin to realize once they start training to achieve them. As most people will never likely train to hold the dragon press or Victorian, these skills, as well as more advanced and technical calisthenic skills, will forever live in the shadow of the muscle-up. But that doesn't mean the muscle-up is a gimmick or a cheap trick. Quite the contrary. The muscle-up is indeed a real test of strength and attracts many people to calisthenics precisely because it strikes the perfect balance between being spectacular and relatable. Unlike the front lever and the planche, which can look so difficult that beginners are sometimes intimidated by them, the muscle-up presents itself as a challenging yet achievable goal that beginners can reach with the correct training. When I first started calisthenics, I was in love with the muscle-up and how strong it made me feel. But as I continued my calisthenics journey and binge-watched calisthenics content, I began to notice that some people's muscle-ups looked better than others. I first observed this when a man called Ivan Marchioli popped up on my Instagram Explore page. He's the co-founder of BarBrothers, a famous and highly influential group of calisthenics athletes that helped to popularize calisthenics in the early 2000s. I was astounded when I saw his muscle-ups for the first time, because, prior to then, I'd never seen anyone do muscle-ups with such finesse. For example, look at Ivan's muscle-ups in comparison to mine. His look far more effortless, controlled, and fluid. After noticing this, a fascination started to grow within me, and my mind became preoccupied with one question. Why?
Why? Why?
Why did his muscle-ups look so much cleaner than every other muscle-up I'd seen up until that point? Why were they so much better than mine? What was he doing that others weren't? I needed to know. So, for months, I carefully analyzed muscle-up videos to understand 1. What makes a muscle-up look clean, i.e. what makes it look effortless, controlled, and gravity-defying, and 2. Why some people's muscle-ups look better than others. Now, after extensive research, I believe I have the answers to these questions, and I'm going to share them with you in just a moment, so stay tuned. But after watching countless videos of the world's strongest calisthenics athletes performing muscle-ups with near-perfect technique, a new question started to gnaw at my mind. Does the perfect muscle-up exist? While watching these muscle-up videos, I realized that one of the major things that separated the best from the rest was how seamless their transitions over the top of the bar were. Here's what I mean. The muscle-up is divided into two main stages, the pull-up and the straight bar dip. When most people muscle up, the two stages are very pronounced and easy to see. But when top-tier athletes muscle up, the transition is greatly reduced and much harder to notice. This led me to wonder if it was possible to muscle up with such flawless execution that there was no transition at all. Could a person pull themselves up so powerfully that it propelled them all the way from the bottom of the bar to the top with no hint of a straight bar dip in between? I opened my laptop, ate a protein bar, and began my quest to find out. On On the surface, the muscle up appears to be a simple two-step movement consisting of a pull-up and a straight bar dip. But there are many factors that contribute to how clean and visually appealing the muscle up looks. For example, a muscle up with straight legs looks much more controlled than a kipping muscle up. Likewise, a muscle up with a fast transition time, the time it takes to transition over the bar to the top of the straight bar dip, looks more explosive than one with a slower transition time. To fully appreciate the muscle up and all the nuances that make it look clean, we need to take a look at the muscle up at 3 levels of ability: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Let's start with beginner level muscle ups. When most beginners do muscle ups for the first time, they're often performed with lots of momentum and excess movement. This is okay and perfectly normal. A strict form muscle up takes a lot of time to perfect, so it's common for calisthenics athletes to rely heavily on momentum in the beginning to get themselves up and over the bar. When performing muscle ups, beginners will usually swing very far out in front of the bar to generate momentum, kip intensely to generate more momentum, significantly arch their back, pull up relatively slowly, have a very noticeable and slow transition, splay their arms out to have one arm over the bar and one arm under once they reach the top, which is also known as chicken winging, slam their chest on the bar, compensate for excess momentum by swinging or flicking their limbs, have a relatively slow rep tempo, meaning the time between their reps is relatively slow, and they'll usually pause for energy between reps. Once again, I want to emphasize that it's perfectly normal to do these things when learning the muscle up for the first time. Most beginners do, and you shouldn't think any less of yourself if you do the same. It's great that you can muscle up in the first place, so well done to you. Everyone starts somewhere, and the more you practice the muscle up, the cleaner and easier it will become. The reason why I'm highlighting beginner muscle up technique in the first place is to give us context so that we can properly appreciate more advanced muscle up technique in just a moment. Before we move on to that though, let's take a look at what intermediate level muscle ups look like. Intermediate level muscle ups tend to be more controlled, slightly faster, and have less kip than beginner level muscle ups. People who have achieved this level of muscle up normally have a reduced starting swing, kip slightly with bent or straight legs, arch their back less, pull up with greater speed, have a less exaggerated and slightly faster transition, consistently get both arms above the bar, i.e. no chicken winging, avoid slamming their chest on the bar, don't need to compensate as much for excess momentum, have a slightly faster rep tempo, meaning the time between reps is shorter, and generally don't have to pause as much for energy between reps. As you can see, there's a significant difference in muscle up quality between beginner and intermediate level muscle ups. From what I've seen, most calisthenics athletes who train muscle ups consistently achieve the intermediate muscle up. But this is usually as far as they'll take their training, and very few strive to perfect their form beyond this. But there is a level beyond. A level only a select few have been able to reach. A level so advanced that those who reach it appear to be unaffected by gravity and limitations of strength. This level of muscle up, the advanced level, is the final frontier of muscle up progression. It's rare to find, even online, and is always a marvel to behold. Immediately, you can notice the difference in execution between the advanced, intermediate, and beginner level muscle ups. The advanced muscle up is more explosive, floatier, and the transition from the pull up to the straight bar dip is barely visible. People who can muscle up at this highest level have minimal or no starting swing, don't kip with their legs, pull up extremely explosively, have an almost imperceptible transition, clear the bar without having to hunch their chest over it to initiate the straight bar dip, eliminate any and all excess momentum, have a smooth and regular rep tempo, and usually don't have to pause for energy between reps. This is about as good as it gets. You rarely see muscle ups better than these. If this was RuneScape, these guys would have a muscle up skill cape. They've maxed out the muscle up stat and have achieved a level of strength most people simply won't reach in their lifetimes. Their muscle ups are near perfect. Near perfect. Toward the beginning of the video, I said I was on a quest to find the perfect muscle up. And as impressed as I was with these athletes, there was a part of me that still believed it was possible to find a muscle up that was even cleaner than the ones that we've just seen. And that's when I came across Ramil Ablizov. Known on Instagram as @AblizovRamil, this Kazakhstani powerhouse achieved an official street lifting record in 2021 for performing 10 muscle ups with 20 kg strapped to his waist. He's a machine and has some of the cleanest muscle-ups I've ever seen. Some may argue that athletes such as Gregor Kowalik or Antoine Gavrikov have muscle-ups that are just as clean or even cleaner than Ramil's. I can certainly see why, because their muscle-ups are indeed some of the cleanest in the world. They don't even lean forward once they come over the top of the bar like most calisthenics athletes. They simply just pull so high that once they finish pulling, they're already at the top. But after seeing the video that I'm about to show you now, I'm convinced that Ramil has achieved the perfect muscle-up. The video that's coming up next is so mind-blowing that to this day, I've never seen anyone else do a muscle-up with this level of perfection. At this point, you must be thinking, how does the muscle-up get any better than this? Look at this muscle-up. How on earth do muscle-ups get any cleaner than that? He basically did it with straight arms. Surely that's perfection. Well, get ready for this, because now is the moment we've all been waiting for. Here, I present to you what I believe to be the perfect muscle-up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually going to show you the perfect muscle-up now. Don't worry, here it is. Why is this the perfect muscle-up? This is the perfect muscle-up because it meets all the criteria we previously established and introduces a new element of difficulty that hasn't been discussed yet, because I was saving it for this moment. When Ramil performs this muscle-up, he doesn't kick with his legs at all, which is almost inconceivably difficult. Just so you can understand how insane this is, Gregor and Antoine, two of the best muscle-up athletes in the world, still stick their legs out in front of the bar as they come up to use them as a counterbalance to make the muscle-up ever so slightly easier to perform. On his first rep, Ramil's legs don't come past the bar. What? That is unbelievably difficult. What's more, he doesn't arch his back, doesn't show any trace of a transition, pulls up with extreme explosiveness, completely clears the bar without having to hunch his chest over at all, and carries no excess momentum. But if that wasn't crazy enough, get ready for this one. He does all of the things we've just mentioned from a dead hang. This is significant because doing muscle-ups from a dead hang, which is when you hang without swinging on the bar, is much harder than performing muscle-ups with a swing. This is because swinging generates momentum that helps you to get up and over the bar. This is the precise reason why some muscle-up competitions make athletes perform muscle-ups from a dead hang, because it eliminates any advantage that could be gained from generating momentum via swinging or kipping. But this isn't just any old dead hang. This is a dead hang with a tall, solid wooden box in the way. What's more, it's sitting right below the bar, which forces his legs to stay behind the bar for the first and most crucial portion of the muscle-up, the pull, and makes it impossible for him to swing, kip, or generate any additional momentum to help. This means that he's using 100% raw power to pull himself up while also foregoing every possible advantage that he could use to make his life easier. In essence, he does the cleanest muscle-up I've ever seen in the hardest way possible. With all these astounding factors combined, I believe Ramil Ablazov, the Kazakhstani calisthenics king, has achieved the perfect muscle-up. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like this video, then please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below. If you really enjoyed it, then please share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or whatever your favorite social media platform is, so that they can have their minds blown by these incredible athletes who have taken their muscle-ups to the next level. This has been Ashton with Ashton Fitness. Now go train your muscle-ups.